There are 3 exercises that I've kept coming back to over and over and over again in my 25 odd years of playing guitar, and I attribute a lot of what I can do on the instrument to these 3 exercises. And the nice thing about them is A, they're relatively simple, B, they're adaptable, so whatever genre you play, whatever you want to work on, wherever you're at in your musical journey, you can use these, and C, however much time or however little time you spend on them, you're still going to be able to get something out of them. So today we're looking at 3 of what I would consider some of the most important exercises that you can do. Exercise number 1, we're going to call it taking it around the circle. And for this, we're going to pull up the good old trusty circle of fourths. Now, the circle of fourths has some music theory implications that we're not going to concern ourselves with today. There are really 2 things that we need to know. First of all 12 different notes are around this circle. And second of all, they are laid out in a way that if you were to play them one after another on a single string on guitar, you have to jump around. It's not especially intuitive. And the exercise is as simple as this. You take something that you're working on and play it based off of each one of those notes, one after another. This shape here is a C major 7. My root note is on the C on the A string. And to take this around the circle in the exercise, what I do is I first play this rooted off of the C, the first bass on the circle, and then I go to the next note on the circle, which is an F. And so I would go C, and then I go to F major 7, and then continuing around the circle, I then play a B flat major 7, and then I go to an E flat major 7, A flat major 7, D flat, and so on. And so here's what the exercise taking that major 7 shape around the circle looks like. C, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, B flat 2, 3, 4, E flat 2, 3, 4. And so doing this specific exercise like this has 2 different benefits. First of all, it's getting my hand used to that shape that I'm working on, that major 7 shape. As I move it around the neck, my fingers get used to playing it in different positions, and hopefully that becomes muscle memory faster than if I were just to play it in one single position. And second of all, since I'm rooting this chord with notes on the A string, C, F, B flat, so on, it's drilling where those notes are into my head. It's familiarizing me with the notes on the A string. And there's so many different ways you can incorporate this circle of fourths exercise into your practice. Say you're, working on learning the notes on the G string. What you can do is just play the notes going around the circle. C, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, B flat 2, 3, 4, and so on. Or say I'm working on getting a new riff under my fingers, you can take that around the circle. Like, let's say I have this, it's an A flat minor. If I were to take that around the circle from A flat onwards, I would get this. And one thing I truly believe in is the more ways you can look at a musical problem, the more robust your answer is going to be. So if you're trying to learn this riff and you learn it in a bunch of different places on the guitar neck, your understanding of it is going to be that much more solid. Or let's use this in a little bit of a different way. What I'm going to do now is play major 7 chord shapes around the circle, but I'm going to confine myself to this area of the guitar neck. So I'm going to need to come up with a number of different chord shapes. Here would be the exercise. C major 7, F major 7, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A flat major 7, D flat major 7, and so on. And so I'd encourage you, whatever it is that you're working on, incorporate this into that. It gives you some structure, and it has all those other added benefits that we talked about. And moving on to the next exercise, I'm going to call this one Jammin' on the 2 and 4. And for this, we're going to pull out our trusty metronome, which keeps a steady beat for us. And so whenever I just go and grab a guitar, one of the things that I like to do is make up these little funky rhythms, something like this. And I think it's actually quite important every now and then to sit around, noodle, and jam. Just have fun playing these things that you like to play now and then. But if every time you do this, you incorporate a metronome, clicking on the 2 and 4, you're going to get so much more out of these little jam sessions. And so the first thing we need to do is set our metronome. I want to think of the pulse that I was playing my thing at, which was about da da ba do fa ba da da do. And what I'm going to do is use the tap tempo, which allows me to tap a button, and it's going to tell me what tempo I'm tapping that button at. Every single metronome has this feature. It goes like this. Da, 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 da. It says that my beats per minute right there were 82. If I were to put the metronome on every beat in the bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, I would set it at 82. However, this would not be jamming on the 2 and 4. This would be jamming on the 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you have your metronome clicking on every beat in the bar. And if this is all that you can do at this point, this is a good place to start. But what I would recommend is taking away half of the beats. So instead of having it beat 1, 2, 3, 4, it beats 2, 4, 2, 4. And so you do this by taking your metronome reading, 82, and then dividing that by 2, which brings us down to 41. So here's 41. It's really quite slow, and it's actually really hard to play with things that are slow. So what I'd recommend doing is just listen to this a bit and kind of count it out in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, until you feel like you're in tune with that metronome. And then from there, we're going to jam and play whatever it is that you want to noodle around with, along with that beat. And this exercise is so hard because when there's so much space in between beats, you have to fill in that space with your internal time feel. If the beat is happening quite quickly, it keeps you right on track very often, but when it's spread out, it keeps you on track here, it keeps you on track here, but you have to make sure that you're staying centered all this time in here. It'll expose your rhythmic tendencies if you have a habit of speeding up or slowing down, and it's going to force you to correct those. And having a strong sense of rhythm, although it's not flashy, is one of the most important things that you can do. The impact of this exercise is going to be felt throughout your entire musical being. The last exercise that we're going to talk about today, it's truly musical, superfood. We're going to call this one the lift, digest, and drop exercise. So here's what you do. You listen to music, you find the music that you like, and then you figure out a thing that you like within that music, and you figure out how to play it note for note. And I should point out that you don't want to take down some massive long piece of music. The point is to take off a small, manageable, digestible chunk. Say we got a solo, and this is actually a solo that I did this exercise with the other day, but Mary Had a Little Lamb by Stevie Ray Vaughan starts like this. So the other day, the thing that I particularly liked was that little riff at the end there that went. So the first thing you want to do is lift it. And what that is you listen to it over and over again and figure out how to play it on your guitar. And guess what? That is practical ear training. And then comes digesting it. And what this is, it's thinking about it and analyzing it from a number of different ways. And different people have different ways of thinking about analyzing and digesting music, but what makes sense for me is thinking about how these notes fit over top of the underlying chord. And so I'll spend some time thinking about what it is that I particularly like about that riff. It's pretty simple. It's only a handful of notes, but I love the way that it sounds. Why? One of the things I particularly like about it is the rhythm. Ba, 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 ba. Super groovy, super cool. And so now that I've digested that new piece of musical information, I'm going to go into the drop zone and start creating and jamming and trying to force that rhythm into what I'm doing. And the point with this whole exercise is to take a new piece of musical information, bring it into your subconscious, and then force yourself to drop it out in a creative way. And the idea is, when you've done this a number of times, when you go and play music, even if you don't think about this riff, it's going to start coming out naturally. And if you do this over and over and over again with different music, different styles, different genres, you're creating this mixed up, musical, rich, robust soup within your musical subconscious that's going to be unlike anything else that anybody else has mixed together through their inspirations, and it's going to create a wealth of information that you can draw on that's going to be unique to you. So ladies and gentlemen, those are 3 of the most important exercises that I do on a regular basis. The biggest thing with this is to take these things and figure out how they make sense for whatever it is that you're working on. This video is showing you a small little sliver of the system that I use for making music, and for me, not being an especially naturally talented guy, I didn't grow up in like a musical household as a prodigy or anything like that. I really needed to build a straightforward system for making music, and that's the system that I teach over at my course platform, SamuraiGuitarTheory.com. I've got 6 courses over there, cover things like learning music theory with the guitar player in mind from the ground up, more advanced music theory, crafting solos using elements of musical storytelling, learning how to do fun, fancy stuff with your solos, taking your open chords and turning them into things you never thought possible. Yeah, there's just a whole bunch over there. And if you like this video, I'd recommend checking that out. www.samuraiguitartheory.com. There's a link for that in the description as well. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, look after the planet. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I'll see you again soon.